Welcome to BlackUSA.news morning show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. Greetings and salutations, all my friends out there in internet land. This is William Honolulu Jr., and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the host of the Black USA News Morning Show. All right, I'm feeling real good today. I'm feeling real excited because it's Memorial Day. I'm planning to hang out with a couple of friends, but more than that, I spent some time this morning just thinking about. I was thinking about like being Black in America and what Black people in the military have had to go through to defend the few freedoms that we've had over time, from Crispus Attucks to the most recent brothers and sisters dying around the world to ensure that we at least have the resources or the context in which we can do better. We can see the best version of ourselves. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not suggesting that our white brothers and sisters, their sacrifice is no less worthy. I am specifically highlighting the service of Black servicemen who gave their lives in pursuit of freedom, because there were some Black servicemen who survived combat and were killed on the streets of America. One story in particular where Black GIs got back and they were pulled off of a bus, still in military dress, and murdered. Um, so as I think about Memorial Day, it is a very special place in my heart for the Black people who kept doing it anyway, who looked at America and said, "You all don't deserve my sacrifice, but I'm going to do it anyway." So that's what I was thinking about on Memorial Day. So I'm really excited to continue to press things forward and elevate the conversation. And as always, giving a big shout out to my super producer, Kyle Crazy Horse Morgan, our assistant producer, Brandy Raymar, and the newest member of our team, my personal assistant, my handler, person that keeps me focused directly, Grace Awaka. So I'm really grateful for my team. Um, Today we have an awesome opportunity because you all know I know dope people, but the cool part about this job is I get to meet other dope people. So we have Cindy Camp coming to us today, who is a candidate for Baltimore City School Board. Now, make sure you all know there are elections coming up across the country. In Maryland, there's been some hiccups because of maps and stuff like that. And hopefully Cindy will be able to talk about the importance of making sure that we are registered to vote, that we are in and around waiting for it to happen. Oh, big up to Deborah Cook from Ghana. Want to say what's up. Um, y'all know I get show notes all the time. They tell me stay focused, stay on board, and y'all know I never do it. Like I'm sitting here looking, it's like don't veer off, but it's not my fault at this point because Deborah hit me up, so I got to respond to people, right? um, one of and Cindy, she's backstage, but we are absolutely going to get to you. You're going to have an opportunity to share, but I think this story is so incredibly important. Um, I was talking to this lady who had traveled to, I think it was South Africa. No, it wasn't South Africa. I can't remember where she traveled to. Actually, it may have been Ghana. It was either Ghana or Nigeria. The location not really relevant to the story, but I'm trying to remember. So what happened was that she got there and she was going there with a group to do some training from the company she was at, and they were opening up some resources in this country in Africa, and she was going to train. And so she started off and she said, "Hi, my name is blah blah blah, and I'm an African American, and I'm here to help you understand how to use whatever they were using." And so the interpreter says this to the people, they say something back to him, and then they start having this conversation. And she's like, "What is happening? I only said that, I only gave him my name and said I'm here to help." And he said, "Oh, they thought that all Americans were white. And I had to explain to them that you were one of the stolen people." And when she told me that, it was like my entire not even my life, like all of the lives before me just flashed before my eyes. And I realized I am one of the stolen people. And it was something so relieving, connecting, but also sad about understanding that I was stolen, because it means that I belong to somebody. I belong somewhere. And it wasn't just the theft. My existence is more than the abuse that my people have suffered here. And so, big up to D. Burton. I just got me sidetracked on the story. I apologize. I apologize. Y'all know. You know what? I ain't even gonna apologize to y'all no more. Y'all know how I do. Y'all know how I do, and I ain't even gonna say nothing no more. um, but before we go, we're gonna talk a little bit about my company, the Grinding Gang, and then we're gonna come back and introduce you all to Cindy Camp.
Hi, my name is William Honolulu Jr., and I'm the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show and the president of the Grinding Gang Incorporated. The Grinding Gang is an organization that helps small business owners in the nonprofit and for-profit communities figure out how to make sense of all the noise. There's a lot of information out there, and sometimes it gets a little overwhelming. We help you develop business plans. We help you figure out what to do with a lot of the information you receive. And we also help you figure out how to become more profitable. We also host a variety of workshops. You can check out our next workshop on grant writing right here.
All right. Gave you a little bit of something. Let y'all know what we're doing, because at Black USA News and with the Grinding Gang, we're trying to do big things to really help you transition your life. It is rough out here. It is so rough, especially by yourself. So why spend time by yourself doing things by yourself when you don't have to? All right. Speaking of which, how things go better together when we're all in the game. What did one of my good friends, Nolan Rollins, say? He said, how do you put it? Many hands make the burden light. And one of the many hands that we have are the people who represent us. A representative democracy is incredibly important, and because of how the magnitude of the importance, it is also incumbent on all of us to find out who the hell is running. These are people who want to represent us and make decisions that literally will shape the course of our lives, specifically in the area of the school board. And a lot of times we think about, like, oh, test scores. The school board is all about test scores and educating children. Now, the schools have transformed for more than just this. Was it the old Satan deluder law back in 1647 that first mandated mandatory school attendance? This was happening before the United States was even a country. They were requiring poor kids to go to these public schools, not to learn, but to learn how to understand and follow the Bible, to understand how to become better employees, how to follow the directions of those who are in power. That's what schools were designed to do originally. And as we've continued on along for the next 400 or so years, a lot hasn't changed, especially in places like Baltimore. The school system is a pipeline for marginal employment, prison, or social services. I said that. That is my opinion, not reflective of anybody. If you agree, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fine. I own that. And I have data to support it. And so these races down ballot, people think the governor's race, the president's race, U.S. senator, everybody's talking about Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. While Herschel Walker is an idiot and that conversation needs to happen, who's on the school board will directly affect how many resources get put into the classrooms your kids are in. The people on the school board decide this caliber for graduation. Also, let's not get it twisted. The people on the school board really decide how that money gets spent. In Maryland, the Blueprint for Education has increased the amount of money available for education, but the people on the school board and the administration, they get to determine who gets it. And I'm not just talking about classrooms and jurisdictions, because that's a huge issue by itself. We can talk about discrimination, why Prince George's County and Baltimore City, the two majority Black districts, are the ones that are always lagging behind. The larger media and establishment would have you believe that it's because this makes us less than. And to that, I say this. Ah! I keep forgetting that day is a show where we got a candidate, and my show notes said don't use too much profanity because that might not. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about something, you know how we do it. We might not keep it 100, but we damn sure gonna keep it 85. So, I mean, it's been 10 minutes already. I'm just sitting here rambling on. And Cindy's like, I got stuff to say. People need to understand about my campaign. I'm like, well, I need to talk more about show notes. Okay, let me make sure before we get in, I got all my show notes covered. All right. Oh, big ups to Earl Morgan, our producer, Kyle Morgan. Earl Morgan is his father. Was his father. Earl Morgan was an amazing journalist, and Earl Morgan focused on down ballot races. Award-winning journalist, and one of the things he found was that, again, down ballot races, talking to people who are engaged in the community, you find the best ways to help the community. So, without further ado, let me bring to you all Cindy Camp.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for joining us. So one of the things I tell everybody who comes on who is running for office, thank you. Regardless of, we'll cover your politics, what you believe in, and the facts of your campaign. But I've run a couple campaigns before, and I worked on them, and I know how hard it is. I understand the level of belief and commitment you have to what you're doing to really just put your whole life out there. Sometimes like, well, I'm running for school board, and people are like, well, remember when you were in high school, you did this? Like, whoa, that was like 20 years ago, bro. Like, why are you bringing that up?
Well, I really do have one correction. I'm not running for school board.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are you
No, not at all. The Central Committee.
I
Yes, I'm
apologize.
running
I
for.
got those two
No,
things crossed in my notes. Oh, that's even better.
no, that's absolutely fine. Because everything that you said is crucial.
Yeah,
I was attending a town hall for the school board, and I
that's
was
very cool.
thinking that I have grandkids right now in Baltimore City schools. And I tell you, the education, they're getting excellent grades, but they can't read. So you have touched on a real sensitive topic for our city. So thank you for that, because it's crucial that people understand this city school system is not preparing our kids for life.
Oh God,
So,
no. I used to
but
be
I
an
just wanted
administrator.
to correct you there.
I
Yes.
appreciate that. So let me do
Mhm.
another, because one of the things
Okay.
that is important about down ballot races is that, real talk, most people have no idea what a central committee is. Like
Absolutely.
they get in there and they're like, well, there's like 15 names here. Oh, I recognize her. I think I've heard about
Right.
her. Him, oh, I heard about him. Nope, nope, nope. And that's kind of the process that they want. And again, even
Hmm.
better for school board, I mean, for central committee, because we need to focus on these down ballot races. People don't down ballot
Absolutely.
races.
It's
People, and
critical. Yeah.
hey, you know what?
Hmm.
Show notes said that I shouldn't do most of the talking. So do you want to explain what central committee is, or would you like me to do
Yes, definitely. And
it?
thank you for that, because I just happened up on it. One of the candidates for delegates that we are supporting, Logan Endow, he
Okay.
asked me to become central committee because I'm always engaged in what's going on in my community. And he said, wow, you would be a great fit for that, because I would be educating the community, educating the people on who they're actually voting for. Because
Yes.
I realize that most of us vote and we have no idea who we're voting for. It becomes a name recognition only, especially in the Black community. So what I want people to understand, our people, is we have to educate ourselves and become part of this process so we can be successful, because
Absolutely.
voting does matter. And if you elect your local officials now, there'll be your national officials who can help once they get to the White House. But
And
you get to make that choice now.
And that's the part that a lot of people don't understand, especially about
Hmm.
central committee, because central committee, there's a lot of power in the central committee, and the central committee a lot of times is kind of like the what do they call the farm league or the minor leagues for the MLB. A lot of people cut their
Absolutely.
a lot of people
Yeah.
cut their teeth on the central committee because you start learning about the intricacies of how the network works and how all of the things related. And like I remember I had to do, when I worked for the state, I did a workshop. I called it I Declare Law, because what I
Hmm.
found is that a lot of people don't even understand how the laws work. I had one doctor who was like, well, the law may have changed, but the regulations haven't. And until the regulations change, I don't have to do anything different. And it's like, whoa, no, you need to
All
understand the
right.
hierarchy. They need to, and the Central Committee, like one of the defining ones, I can't remember where it was, but one of the, because it happens often, somebody left their seat as a delegate or as a senator,
Mm-hmm.
and it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember the details of it, but something was so, it was, this particular race was very controversial because the Central Committee was very divided and in arms about who should be next. And it really,
Right.
that could be, and it was some subject that this person or this seat would have had a voting committee that would have changed the direction of this legislation or that. Like literally, the Central Committee, by their vote in that instance, changed the trajectory
Right.
of work and the
Mhm.
law in the state of Maryland because of that election. So yeah.
Well, that's why it's so important that you choose the right central committee, because what you want to choose is people who care about our everyday lives and
Mm.
that live in our communities and want better for the community. So you got to elect those people who are going to elect those candidates that we need to send to the White House, but more importantly, that's going to serve us in our local cities and communities.
So tell the people a little bit about yourself. Like, you're here and you are at, so I did a little research on you. I said this ain't your first
Mhm.
time at the rodeo being an advocate in your community. So tell them a little bit about
Absolutely.
you.
Well, I'm a caregiver first, and I am an advocate because I work with Moms Demand Action, which is a gun violence prevention group. I'm also opposing Vaughn Green's crematorium in my community, which definitely something we don't need. Our
You,
kids,
you said
we
you
don't
said
need.
not
Hmm?
Wall, you said Vaughn Green, not Walgreens,
Yeah,
right?
Vaughn
Okay, I
Green's
just wanted to
funeral
make sure. It's
home.
like Walgreens have a whole new business
No,
model. They doing crematoriums and prescriptions. That's crazy. Okay.
right? So I only live like maybe 100 feet away from Vaughn Green's, and it wants to put a crematorium in a residential community. It's considered a I think it's a C2 community because, of course, it
Mhm.
has some businesses in it. But we have kids that play out here in the backyard, and it's just we have enough pollution, and we don't want our kids affected, the health issues. So I'm opposing that. So as far
So
as in my
let's
community,
real quick. I just want to
mhm.
make sure because I've learned that we cannot just assume that people understand what things are. So could you tell
Okay,
people what a crematorium is and why that's a concern? Because for some people, it's like, oh, it's just like a little incinerator in the back. It
oh,
doesn't really take up any
right,
space, blah, blah, blah. It's because what I read about you is really the
mhm.
central part of what you said. You educate people. It's not like just follow me and I think this is right and good,
Right.
but you spend a lot of time explaining it to people. So come on, don't stop now. Explain it to the
Okay.
people.
So our kids, as Black kids, especially people of color, our asthma rate is 2, 3 times more than Caucasians. So let's get that out. The community, the crematorium would release pollutants, and that will cause harm to health if you have asthma, if you have lung disease, lupus, any immune issues that you may have.
Hmm.
We have one of the busiest bus routes on
Oh
this
yeah.
York Road corridor. We
Yeah.
have gas stations, we have drive-through Popeyes, McDonald's drive-throughs. All of this is already releasing very dangerous toxins in our community.
Absolutely.
So the opposition is not for Vaughn Greens because I love that he's a Black-owned business. So the opposition is that it's going to be in a residential community, and he could take it because he has like 2 to 3 other locations
Hmm.
that he could do this in as well. So the opposition to the crematorium is a health hazard for our community and our children. So,
And I appreciate you making the distinction because
mhm.
one of the other things that I find happens often is that people tend not to think about, they look at it from one perspective. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
there's a business trying to open up more business or do more business, and you're not letting them, so you must hate business. It's like you can be and do more than one thing.
Thank you. Absolutely. Because I love that he's a Black-owned business. I love that. But I also don't want him to take for granted Black people, right? So I
Mhm.
want him to realize that we are exhausted but not paralyzed.
Yes.
So
And
definitely.
so I had another candidate on here. Was it last? All the days are. It had to be last week because today is Monday. Okay, so last week. And one of the
Uh-huh.
things that she was talking about, similar to you in her community, they wanted to build a royal farms, like a huge royal farms,
Mhm.
and she took it to the community, and the community was like, nah. That's not even, we're not even feeling that.
Right.
What she ended up doing is going, after the deal got shut down, she went, the community association went to the owner of the property and was like, why didn't you come and talk to us first? Because there's a lot of times, especially in Baltimore City, it's like they don't
Right.
know how to organize, they don't know how to fight back. And
Yes.
again, not putting that on
Yeah.
Vaughn, but honestly, from a business perspective, it makes more sense to try to do it in a place where you don't think you're going to get a lot of resistance. Because if you
And see,
try
that was my point, right? He snuck it in. It was like, it was there. By the time we found out, it was like, what was happening? So the
right.
community wasn't even prepared. Absolutely.
And that becomes one kind of, I swear I'm going to bring you back to the election, but that also becomes one of the reasons that roles like Central Committee are important, because a lot of times
Yeah.
people come to the Central Committee just because they have to. Because if you try to
Right.
put something through, and just take it directly to a delegate, and you haven't sanitized it through a Central Committee or Central Committee is like, well, we have not heard anything about that. You trying to, and it becomes a thing. So part of the
Right.
process is that members of the Central Committee, they need to be connected to the community, because they get a lot of the information. And if they aren't passing it along, the community doesn't get it.
The community doesn't know. Absolutely.
And so
So
that,
my
again,
plan. Mhm.
oh,
Okay.
I was about to ask you that. Go ahead, look at you jumping
Yeah.
ahead.
So my plan, along with the slate that I'm running with, which is under Mary Washington, the senator,
Oh, we know
our plan
Mary.
is,
Mary's my cousin.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So our plan is to educate the community on who they're going to be voting for and why they should be voting for this candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to at least educate them on what this candidate may have voted for or what they didn't vote for. We want to bring that balance to the community so they will know who, and not just continue to do this name recognition,
Right.
because that's what's harming us as well. Oh, I know him. Oh, I know her. But how effective have they been in our community for us? Have they worked for us? Have they worked for those things that's important to your community? And before you vote for them, you need to know what their voting record is and what they will support and what they won't support. Because even with this crematorium, what I'm learning right now is a lot of people are afraid of it. They don't want to be seen as voting against a Black businessman.
Yes.
So they don't have the courage to speak up.
Ooh, you okay. You okay, so I don't know how old you are, but do you remember Pee Wee's Playhouse, Pee Wee Herman?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I can't tell nowadays. I realize as my gray starts kicking in, my social references have to change. But so Pee Wee's Playhouse, they had this one thing whenever you would say the magic word of the day, was like, "Ah!" You remember that? You
Yes,
remember that part?
absolutely. I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
You said the magic word of the day. Ah! Courage.
Definitely.
Courage is the
Absolutely.
word of, honestly, it needs to be the word of this election cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with your work with mothers demand action. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is it mothers or moms?
Moms
Okay,
demand
I don't want to
action.
be just
Mm-hmm.
branding is important. I understand. So moms against moms demanding action. One of the things
Mm-hmm.
with that is that the reason that moms have to demand action is that people whose first name is the honorable, who have been elected, lack courage. The the
Yes.
the, the, the immense and unimaginable failure in Uvalde. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, so because I know
Oh,
that this is your area, but please, I was not trying to put you on the spot with this. So if you don't want to talk about this,
oh no,
absolutely.
no, you're
But
fine, please.
what I have understood and what I have seen from the beginning is that this was not a failure of systems, not a failure
Mm-hmm.
of policy. This was a failure of courage at every level. The governor, when things, so in the moment, you had a failure of courage when you had, show notes, profanity. Sorry, it was about to be, sorry. You had 19 police officers
Mm.
standing in a hallway, afraid to get shot, lack of courage, lack of, and they were, well, the guy in charge said, I don't care. Like, you had a mother sneak in the back door
Wow.
to go get two of her kids out. You had those police officers who had kids in that school
Wow.
go in and get their kids out.
Mm-hmm.
Failure of courage. When we look
Yes.
at the things in the Black community, failure of courage. When you look at the problems that we're having in education, failure of courage. The governor of Texas, failure of courage to even say, you know what, we fucked up on guns. This
Mm-hmm.
this is
Mm-hmm.
no courage. And then when you finally do see courage, is when they about to retire. Well, you know what? Now Or once the job, hell, not even retire. Once the job is over, how many books do we have to get to tell me how fucked up things were when you had the damn?
Right.
I apologize. Okay,
No, you're fine because we're
no,
failing our
Sydney, tell us
children.
about your kids.
We no, really, we are failing our kids, and that's a hot tug for me. That's why I'm very passionate about this, because I realize that what are we going to leave them? What legacy are we leaving for them? We're failing them continuously,
Yeah.
and we're failing them based off of a system that is no longer. What is a good word? It's no
Relevant,
longer. It's just
appropriate. Pick
profitable.
one of
It's
them.
a. It's just profitable to politicians. And
And
so because
and the
of the
people,
profit they're making off of us is why they're
but
failing us, you
but
know.
not no. Let's not get it twisted, because I like the fact
Mhm.
that you're polite enough to stop at politicians. I like
Mhm.
the fact, that's really nice of you. But here we might not
Yeah.
keep it 100, but we keep it 85.
Yes.
There are people who are making millions of dollars every year based
Yes.
on
Mhm.
dysfunction. Real talk, I'm
Yes.
trying to be one of them. Real talk, I'm trying to
Mhm.
get some products in the school system and services because there is such dysfunction. I could help, but there are other people who, and again, we talked about this on the show before. There are people who, if we could fix schools tomorrow, if we could get rid of guns tomorrow, if we could fix the social ills, not only would they not have jobs, they don't have any transferable skills. So they are
Right.
invested in the process. They are invested in
Mhm.
the status quo. Because if
Mhm.
we change the status quo, what do they have? If all I can do, if I'm in a relationship and I'm an abuser, and the only way that I'm able to stay is because you don't know your value, well, then I'm scared of anybody who could tell you that you're a nice person. I'm telling you, no, 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 you can't talk to that person anymore. Hey, don't listen to anybody but me. And if you listen to, especially with the MAGA crowd, if you start listening to them, you
Mhm.
start realizing, and again, not casting all Republicans, but some of
Right.
you, the
Mhm.
MAGA crowd, it is that, to your point about name recognition before, it's the same thing they're doing. It's just that their names are really crazy.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. I agree. And you're right. It's a system that our kids are paying for.
With
The
their
streets of
lives.
Baltimore. Like when we see these streets, I see this carnage on our streets. It's a failure that's been allowed.
Yeah.
We need cohesiveness in our government, and it's not happening. So you can blame this one, you can blame that one, but it's the failure of the whole city and the whole community.
Yeah.
It's
And
not just one office failing; it's all
oh
of them
God, no.
failing.
But
Hmm.
the challenge with the failure is that the failure has now been institutionalized at the systemic level. It
Right,
is not.
right,
It is no longer something that happens. It is now part of the system. If
right,
if if you get in my car, when my wind, like if I run it, if a car runs near to me or something like that, and it knocks my, that mirror, that side view mirror, if it knocks it
right,
down, and I put some tape on it, well, that's me doing a temporary fix. Now if that tape stays on there for years, that's just the way the car is now.
right.
it's
Absolutely.
not it's not because, from the time it was fixed, the way it's supposed to look, it is broken. But after a while, this is no longer like, instead of, if I can't get it fixed, what I start doing is buying more duct tape. At the point you
Hmm.
start buying more duct tape, this is how it works, because you are now perpetuating that cycle. You are investing in the temporary fix instead of like, look, let's just save money, because the reality is that sometimes you just can't.
Right.
We in Baltimore City, Baltimore City, we do not pay enough to retain the best talent
Absolutely.
in
Definitely.
any department. And real talk, everybody, like, I have a lot of the businesses that I work with, because I do business consulting, many of them are on the whole, like, if I do business with Baltimore City, I pay you're not going to handle my money well tax. Like, that's why Baltimore
Wow.
City ends up have to pay so much more, because they, like, right now, one of my contracts, a few grand, 4 months ago. 4 months ago, they were supposed to pay me a few grand, and they still haven't.
Wow.
So when you start planning to do business, one, that means that people, I am hesitant to do business with them again unless I raise the price, to assume that I have to build up an incompetence tax type thing. Like, you're going to do it wrong, so I have to charge you more, because I know, what, 3-4 months I'm gonna be without my money. So when I finally do get it, it needs to be worth it.
Absolutely. Right.
But these are the types of
Hmm.
decisions that the Central Committee, the Board of Education, and this type of focus can have on growing our community, growing the revenue. Because don't get it twisted, the Central Committee, the elected officials have impact and input on what money goes where.
Absolutely.
So
So
talk
with
to me a
Mary
bit more about what you
Washington,
plan to
one of
do.
her reasons,
Mhm.
say it again, I'm sorry.
I said, tell me more about what you. I think you like read my mind before I get to say stuff, because I think you were answering the question I was about to ask you. So go ahead. Let me
Yeah,
say
I
stuff
was getting
again. I
ready
can
to
read
say
my show
one of
notes
the
and stop
things
talking.
that we were trying to do, Mary Washington, was definitely make the Central Committee more powerful, because right now it has been taken advantage of
Oh
by
yeah.
the people who held the office prior to. So I guess the biggest point is, like, we have candidates who won't even come out to functions in the city because they feel they don't have to. So they don't respect the voters in the city because they feel that they're already going to get their vote. So they don't even have to show up and
There you go.
still get your vote. So we have to hold them accountable, right? Like the same with these people in Valdev, like you said, we need to begin to vote people out who are not taking our issues, our lives seriously. So that's what the Central Committee has. That's the power in the Central Committee. Put those people in office who are going to support what we need in our communities. If not, don't vote them in. And
The
the
other
ones that are sitting in those seats, let's get them voted out.
the other part about the Central Committee is that the Central Committee is a layer of politician that is much more
Hmm.
accessible to the general community. And that
Absolutely.
and to your point again, you didn't say the word directly, so I'm not going to scream, but you touched on courage. Like they don't
Hmm.
have. I mean, how is it that Herschel Walker is the leading candidate and has not really shown up for a debate? And when he has spoken in public, it sounds like he just finished fighting Mike Tyson. To be honest, it sounds like he went like 12, well, probably 3 rounds, and did not go well for him. It did not go, and not now Mike Tyson. I'm talking about 1990s Mike Tyson.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like. But
Well, if I can touch bases on this, and really, and this might be off topic, but this drives me insane. If we could take our paintbrush back, meaning that certain media outlet, and I guess I don't want to call them out, but they're always painting a narrative in our city. And not to go to woke who's not woke, but we need to pay attention to what scenario they're trying to paint. And so we need to educate ourselves so that when we keep seeing a certain broadcast over and over again on the same topic, that we don't, because if you hear something over and over again, you begin to believe it yourself.
oh
So
yeah,
we need, yeah. I mean, so it's like, come on, Baltimore, wake up, look into things for yourself. Okay, don't let them paint the scenario they want you to have in your city. So get involved, get invested, because if you want a future for our kids and you're tired of this carnage, please get involved. Don't be quiet. So I'm sorry. Okay.
oh, there ain't nothing to be so. Clearly, you have
I
not
didn't want
watched
to get
this
off
show too
topic.
often. You know what the topics are for the show? You want me tell you what the topics are for the show? Whatever I start
No.
talking about, that's the topic of the show. Donnie said that this is my show, and I said, "You sure?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So we're gonna talk about what I want
Okay.
to talk about. So you are absolutely fine, unless I say you not, and I say
Okay.
you are fine.
Okay.
One of the
Definitely.
things to your point about the need to hold people accountable, I think one of the challenges is that we are not taught the critical analysis and planning skills that are necessary to even understand what we want or how to get there. And so
Hmm.
when we don't know what we want, we know we want better for our kids, but what does that look like? And
Absolutely.
so we have these industry leaders who say, well, what's best for your kid is 10, 20 kids to a classroom. And it's so funny, as we have conversations about homeschooling and things like that, we start realizing that one of my guest last Friday, Dr. Ali Coleman, she was talking about how she homeschooled her daughter because and she's in Prince George's County, well, DC, Prince George's County, and because what she was being offered didn't make sense for her daughter. And
Right.
they were like, oh well, we have this many kids and we can't customize a whole thing for your daughter, blah blah blah. And she was like, okay, then I will. And what she was able to find out is like her daughter is just finishing up her first year at San Francisco State, I think, in film. And while there are fundamental pieces about filming that she didn't learn through her homeschooling experience,
Hmm.
she has been in 2 award-winning productions. She has done backstage work. She has done editing and composing, and she performed at the Kennedy Center.
Wow.
But this was
Wow.
because this is part of her mother's space, and that we
Mm-hmm.
need to understand who our kids are, and using that as an example for the larger community. One of the things is we just know we want better for our kids, but we don't really take time
Yeah.
to understand what that means. And so then we rely on elected officials like you and school board and delegates and senators to parse through all of the information and help us figure out what to do next. Well, the problem is,
Absolutely.
why the hell do I think you know what my needs are? Why would you even know that? When again, outside of this, we may have bumped into each other at a community meeting or something like this, but just like you're talking about the that we need to know our politicians before we elect them, we also need to make sure that we are in a position for them to get to know us.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because if you don't know who I am or what's important to me, now I become a stereotype. Oh, he's a black man. He lived over by Northwood. And you know how, oh, okay, that's what okay. So he probably wants this. No, I am, let me tell you this real quick. If anybody, I am exceptionally unique. You will never get it right trying to guess. And so it becomes important that each of us on Burnwood, Winford, Hartford, like all of us come together to just explain what we want and figure out how to get there. Because we talk about accountability, but accountable to what? To the concept of my kids' life being better? Well, what do you have to do with my
Absolutely.
kids' life being better? No, there's a role you play. And until I understand the role you play, until I understand who you are, and until you understand me, how am I going to hold you accountable to what I don't know you know?
Right. You're right. You're absolutely correct. Like when they call you, when they send you links to the Zoom, do you sign on? Because you're their constituents. What do you do? Which is very important. You have to do something. I just told my girlfriend, um, she's going down social services, so she's talking about the service that she's not getting.
Mm-hmm.
I said, reach out to Mark Conway. I said, what are they doing? It's a line outside. I said, reach out to your congressperson, whoever it is your elected official is, give him a call and let him know the
What?
problems
No,
that you
no,
are
no, no,
experiencing.
no, 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 no. I refuse because you don't. I'm not gonna let you slide into coward because I don't think
Yeah,
that's you. But I'm making sure. I
right,
don't think
right.
it's you, but
No,
I'm making
help me.
sure. What? No,
I
but make
need
sure.
your help. Yeah.
Don't tell them just to call their congressman. Call everybody. Call the central committee. Call the delegate. Call the senator. Call the U.S. senator. Call the Congress people. Call the governor. Call the mayor. Because the problem is we
Mm-hmm.
we don't know enough. So if we don't know enough, why we just gonna call the one person? Call us because on the real talk. Down ballot.
Well, I guess you're absolutely right. I wanted her to realize that you had power.
Yes.
You have power. Use it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
Mm-hmm.
again, one of the reasons that I say we'll start with the down ballot races because guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, people aren't calling you. They're calling
No, they're not.
delegates and you have some more time. And guess what? Normally, my experience, and again, I can't talk about everybody in the Central Committee, but what I have found is that Central Committee members tend to be the more active members in the community. So
Right,
they're
definitely.
already plugged in. They're already doing these things. So call them. They're like, oh no, I know Miss What's the caller over at the office. They say what? Oh no, they won't let me give a call because they in, and most of y'all are in practice for higher offices. So if y'all can make
Well,
somebody
you're right.
happy,
And like you said, most people don't even know what that is. Like, what is that? Right? Like, what? And the way it's set up now, they're only allowing you to vote for 4 women and 4 men. So now they've made it confusing. So you can only vote for 4 women and for 4 men
so let me
and binary.
help me understand how my penis decides my ability to participate in politics.
I
Because apparently
don't
now my
know.
penis is now important to this whole conversation. If I knew
Absolutely
there were
is.
penis offices, I might run for something. Like because that seems
Right.
pretty.
It's confusing. It's very confusing. And if they go down the line, they're putting in alphabetical order. So you know how most people are just going to go to first 4 boxes. Right. So
Not
now
just the
it's
first
up
four,
to us.
the first four names that sound okay. Let's not even front like it's confusing. It's
Right.
like, oh, this sounds foreign. I don't know this person. Oh, this sounds like somebody who went to school.
Right.
Oh,
So now I have to show you how unique I am. I have to get out there. Right. I have
mhm.
to speak to you. I have to talk to you. I have to communicate with you.
Or you
And
just
I
make
have
sure
to
that your name
educate you.
is American Joe. No,
And look, I am fortunate that it's camp. So alphabetically,
you're
right.
winning. You are winning.
Definitely. Yes.
But honestly, so let me tell you, real talk. I had a friend of mine who has the same name of one of our very popular elected officials in Baltimore. He lives in Montgomery County, and we were talking, and he was like, I think I'm going to run for a lower office in Baltimore in this particular district because people are stupid. Like people will see the same name on the ballot. It's like, oh, this must be his brother. Oh, and I was like, that's really messed up. Da, da, da. And then I was like, oh, damn, he would get it a lot. He would get it. Especially in the district he was talking to, because this guy, this is just the person they vote for every time. And I was like, oh my
Wow.
God, you would. And he didn't do it. I kind of wish he had, because as a social experiment, you know what I mean? Like, but that is a very real thing, and that's, again, really appreciate the way that you are going about in the community, talking to people, especially, and again, I know some of it is with some of the other hats you wear.
Right,
The fact that
right.
you wear those hats is part of your community commitment. So I know we talked
Yes.
a little bit about my philosophies, and because it's my show, I get to talk about whatever I want, but let's talk about you. Why did you decide to do this? Because again, life is a lot easier when you don't.
Well, I find that the thing that you're most passionate about, like I am so hurt and saddened by what's going on, especially with our Black men in our community. And I have 4 grandsons. So I want things to change for them. So I got to be a part of that change that I want to see for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and other Black men, children in general, when I see what's happening and how we failing them, I just erupt with passion. So that's the thing I know I need to be doing, because Central
Mm-hmm.
Committee is all volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
unless I have a calling for a higher office, which I never really thought about. But if it definitely, if it can help my community, I'm going to be in for it. But I don't want to just be another politician. I want to have courage. You know what I mean? I want to call those things out that's wrong, irregardless of where the chips fall, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to base my income off of that. I mean, I'm not going to
Woo!
be afraid.
No, that wasn't the phrase of the day. But damn, you can't just drop a fire line like that, like you Jay-Z, and just keep thinking I'm gonna move on with it.
Yeah.
Talk more about that, because what I see, real talk,
Mhm.
is that I see, going back to courage, a lot of politicians, they're much more concerned about the job than
Right.
impact. It's like, I don't want to,
Right.
and again, this is their job. This is how they feed their families in many cases. This provides them access, and it's a lot of swag, a lot of fluff. You move from just being a normal person to being the honorable. You move
Oh
to
man.
getting a
Yeah.
guaranteed salary, and people walk around and, oh, hey, they invite you to all the happy hours. Like, all of a sudden, you become every high school kid's dream. And then you're like, well, I mean, I could vote against it, but they might not invite me to the
That's the
next thing.
point. That's the point. You have to know who you are. Having the keys to the palace gives you different responsibilities, right?
Ooh.
So
You
I
just
don't
gonna
want it
drop
to
Jules the
take.
whole you gonna drop Jules the whole interview, huh? You just gonna do that? This is how you do, just flow. Okay, go ahead, go. You good, you
Yeah,
good.
because in a spiritual place, being that if I have this much responsibility, right? Understand that this is what I'm passionate about. I'll go out and I'll work a 9 to 5 to take care of myself. But if I can't stand on my convictions, then it's pointless,
Mm,
right? So I don't want you to vote for me because, oh, I'm going to go along with what you say. I want you to vote for me because I'm going to stand for you.
right.
Those issues that you have, I'm going to stand with you. And if I don't agree with it, I want to tell you, listen, I don't agree with that. And that's not what I'm going to vote for. Right. So this is what I believe. This is what I'm standing for. This is my conviction. And this is where my vote is going to go. So not being tied to the income of the office to take care of myself. No, I want to be able to stand on those things that I really believe are important to the community.
And some of them, I gotta be honest, they aren't. It's not even the money. This is one of the
Hmm.
things that I found working with them. It really is especially the higher the elective office, the social gratification is amazing.
Right. Hmm.
You I mean, to go from being just a regular Joe, just trying to do his work to being the keynote speaker act, to be
Wow.
asked to come and motivate a graduating class, or to be a headliner at this, and whenever you go someplace, people go out of their way just to say, oh, we want to make sure that senator or delegate or the honorable or judge is here. Oh, thank you for being here. That is intoxicating. That money be
I
damned.
can imagine.
That when you go to all of the happy hours and everyone, oh, hey, happy to see you. Like, oh, and this is why they start doing whatever to keep the office. It
Wow.
is the dopamine. It's
The
like when the phone gives
adrenaline
you
rush,
those
huh?
little,
It's that. It's
the phone gives
adrenaline,
you the
like,
little
oh.
lights, and you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's what it is. Like everybody, what is your senator? What do you think I should do on my campaign? You are so wise. What do you think we should do? Oh, let me tell you this, and it's like, you realize that you don't know very much more than you did when you got this office, except now there's a whole department of people to tell you stuff and how to vote
Oh,
and govern.
except when you have a mass shooting and you are a member of the NRA, and then you begin to run because now you don't want the mic, right? Now, yeah, then it changes.
And this is what, and so colloquially, I'm going to get fined for this, but I'm gonna own this one. Colloquially, I call that being bitch made. And not female dog, but like when you just collapse under the pressure, you can't stay 10 toes down. You are not strong enough. And that's honestly, I think a lot of the things around guns have to do with the fact that you're a coward by yourself, that you're scared
Absolutely.
by yourself. And like I said last week, this was before Uvalde, when we were talking about Buffalo, I told them that the terrorists won. The terrorists won because I am now scared. I am
Right,
scared
right.
with the knowledge, because again, I wrote policy on gun legislation or gun rights and incarceration. So I know that actually having a gun does not make you safer, actually puts you at greater risk,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes you feel safer. So I'm
Wow.
considering getting a firearm and a concealed carry weapon permit, because I just need to feel safe, even though logically, like, and I'm not even pretending that I somehow magically believe that this, but I know it's a feeling. The reason I haven't done it is because I get the distinction, but I'm comfortable that it would be like Linus's blanket from from Charlie Brown. So long as I had it.
Well, just imagine this. I used to be a correctional officer. That seemed like years and years ago. But for 10 years, I was
Mhm.
correctional officer. So imagine if we were allowed to bring guns into the jail.
Oh yeah.
So if they made us safer, why aren't they allowed in jails? So just think
Oh,
about
no,
that
no, 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 no,
concept.
no, 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 no. Because I like because again, you are way too nice to these people. You ready? Because I'm not. Not only are the guns not allowed in jail, guess where guns were not also allowed? The
Where?
fucking NRA convention in Houston, Texas last fucking
Wow.
Friday.
Wow.
When Trump was there,
Unbelievable.
the Secret Service was like, oh, nah, none of y'all can bring in handguns, rifles, or nothing. In this place, y'all can't bring none today. Why? Because, I mean, literally, you're going to the place where all the gun nuts are. But you don't want the gun nuts
Right.
to have guns? Come on, bro.
Right. Right. Hmm. But once again, because you're not intelligent enough to decipher for yourself
Oh no.
that the NRA is making money. Right.
You are so fucking polite to these people. Don't do it. That's not my job. It's not. They understand what the fuck that they're doing. They
Right.
understand that these kids are going to continue to die. All of this shit is predictable. They
Yes.
understand that, but they are bitch made and they love the money.
Hmm. Wow.
And again,
Mm.
this is not Cindy's. Cindy's saying like, yo, I should have picked another day to come on here, boy, because this dude is talking.
No,
But
listen, this is
this
right
is
up my. I love this conversation. Please, I do. This is a
okay.
conversation that we need to have, continuously. Definitely.
But and so again, I appreciate. Like I said, this is the first time I met you, but I appreciate the fact that you at least are talking the right thing. You're talking about the
Hmm.
integrity of the office, about learning more and educating more, and actively engaging the community, not just Herschel Walker and vote for me because I played the footballs and I was a Heisman. And
Hmm.
I've been living in
Hmm.
Texas for the last 20 years. Now I'm going to move
Hmm.
back so I can be your senator from Georgia.
Wow.
What are we doing right now?
And,
But again,
but this is the clown show, because this is what politics has become, the clown show.
absolutely.
Hmm.
And it is easy way to tell how deep in the clown we're going is when the orange clown comes and signs on or says anything.
Absolutely. And honestly, the most outrageous you are, the more votes they get. Wow.
Watch this. You realize why? Because Paris Hilton made millions of dollars. Literally, the Kardashians have made billions of dollars from being ridiculous.
Wow.
So why Trump literally became president at a golden staircase. Mexicans are rapists, murderers, and thieves, and they're good people on both sides. But this is the problem that I think we are ignoring. And again, Central Committee, whatever your version of Central Committee is, or the school board in your area, understand what our system is designed to do right now is to appease white cis hetero men. That is what our system is entirely designed to do. Think about any problem that we are having as a nation is because it annoys cis hetero white men.
Absolutely.
Abortion, well, I need white women to have more babies. And actually, big up to Donnie Glover, because I never thought about it this way before. They need white women to have more babies to keep the replacement from happening.
Okay.
All of a sudden, and if you notice that, and this is what I'm starting to see, all of the conversations tend to have a bunch of white racist men leading them.
Yes.
So abortion, gun rights. Well, because I'm feeling insecure about everything, and I'm afraid, because after all the fucked up shit I did to y'all minority people, if you all get because I did this and I had all the power. So if you all get a little bit of power, no, we need to keep guns because there's going to be a race war because you all are trying to kill us. And this is the part that my Christian friends hate when I say, but fuck you too. A lot of Christians are predisposed to these types of things because their entire lives have been fighting things that they cannot see.
Absolutely.
So why wouldn't, and remember, there are evil and people are inherently evil. So why wouldn't you believe that the Democrats who oppose abortion and want you to be unsafe and invite all these aliens, why wouldn't you believe that they eat baby blood to stay alive? That sounds like something, because they're evil, because my pastor said that they will burn in the fires of hell. Their iniquity is a blaspheme upon our society, and they eat babies. Yep, I heard him say that, so that's probably true. Why would my pastor lie? God told him. He said God told him that the Democrats eat babies. So, yeah.
Unbelievable.
The sad part is that it is no longer unbelievable.
I know.
This is mainstream. And don't get it twisted. People talk about, as a repudiation of Donald Trump because Joe Biden got more votes than any other presidential candidate in history. That's true. But do you know who got the second most votes than any presidential candidate in history? Donald Trump in the same fucking election.
Wow. Yeah, sure.
There are 75 million people who are okay with it.
Yep, absolutely.
And that is
that's what's very disturbing, and we're living in the world with them. Right? Absolutely.
And by the way,
your neighbor, your boss,
we all shop at the same places too.
Yes.
So there's no real way to be like, okay, oh, you got an R in your head for racist. Okay, no. And this is why, as a community, I agree that we need to know what we want, be able to have a plan for what we want, and not just holding people to these aspirations, because things will never be good for our kids, or they will always get better, because depending on where you start the marker, as opposed to looking at what do we want our kids to have? How do we want this done? And why do we change education policy and fiscal policy every 4 to 8 years?
Right.
Imagine if you
and you're right about Baltimore City schools. Like Baltimore City schools right now is a wretched mess. It really is. First of all, they was out for the pandemic. I just think about when I was growing up, how I was taught to read. These kids don't even bring words home. They give them some sight words. Second, third grade, they're not reading.
Well, that's also because the resources and the skill sets that are necessary, and I mentioned before, the school system is no longer just the school system. Like the teachers that I see in the school system that have the most significant impact, they're not even necessarily good teachers. You know what they are? They're supplemental parents. Because a lot of these kids, their parents are on the grind so much, like working 3 jobs, and they don't have the resources or time. And real talk, many of their parents didn't have a great time in school either.
No.
You got the blind trying to teach.
Where are the counselors in the school? Because let me tell you, I have 6 grandkids, and I've never seen kids more emotional in my life, right? They can't handle anything. They traumatized from dropping a cookie. And you look at them and you're like, what's wrong? You dropped a cookie? Their emotions are out.
Time. Because what that is actually, real talk, what you're talking about is not them being, the issue isn't them, the issue really is us. And let me explain why.
Wow, yeah.
Because what they're doing is exploring an emotion. They are upset
Okay.
and they have the range to explore it. When I dropped the cookie, I got yelled at and hit for dropping a cookie. So I didn't even, so as a real talk, and this is part of my mental health journey, as I reached adulthood, I didn't know how to handle, I just tried to avoid all crisis because I didn't want no trouble. But
Oh, really?
we give them the space to explore those emotions. So guess what? When they come into their 40s, they're not having an emotional meltdown because they've never had to try to deal with these types of things before.
Wow, I
And
never
they're able
looked
to
at it like that.
explore.
Wow.
And that is,
Listen, I never looked at it like that because you're right. Like we wasn't allowed to be all over the place with them
shut up
emotions.
before I
Right?
give you something to holler about.
Yeah, you're right.
But
Yeah,
it
and
is,
so now it's like I have 4 boys, and when we're in the car together, they're just like losing it. Oh, I hit my knee, and they're falling out, and oh, he said this to me, and I'm like, wow. And if suicide rate for young kids is on the rise. So my thought says, where are the counselors in the schools? We need some mental health in schools now. It's a range of things we need.
why you gotta keep calling me time out? Because see, I understand, all y'all people y'all ain't nice. I'm gonna tell you what y'all doing now. You ain't slick. You wait till you get to the last 5 minutes to start a whole new conversation. You disrespectful. Don't be.
Right.
But to that point, I think part of the challenge is that we keep putting the responsibility on school. Like real talk, it's kind of like we can't have it both ways. We know that they can't teach, and this is so one of the places I get in trouble is people's like they need to teach financial literacy in schools. I say fuck no, hell no. They're like, why? Our kids need financial literacy. I said, one, I have problems with financial literacy because if I had a school and told you the best thing I was going to do for your kid is make them literate, why would you send them? So that's one. Two, for 400 years, schools have been trying to teach them how to read, write, and do math. And they fail at that. So why do I want them to teach? Hell, have you seen what they tried to do with sex ed? So why would I want them to teach them about money? They can't teach them about math. And I know some of these teachers. They're my friends. You don't want them teaching nobody about money.
Right.
And so if we have delving in, and so real talk, the system is not designed for social emotional support. And we keep putting it on the system to do that. It's kind of like getting me to be a musician. I can follow the directions, go to YouTube University, press buttons, but I will never create or compose. Best case scenario, I can replicate what I see somebody else do. So
that's why I was glad to see that you had some other services you offered, because like, me and my son, we often talk about how important nonprofits is. So, but a lot of people don't even know how to get started. They want to, but they don't know where or how.
If you just wanted to come back, you could ask. You didn't have to do a commercial, but I appreciate it nonetheless, because that's one of the reasons I started the company was because
right. Well, no, that really caught my attention because I told him the other day, I said, you're not being fruitful. You talk about what you want to do, but you're not doing it. So if you want to actually help the youth, then you got to step out there, put your foot out there and start somewhere.
All right. So now that dang, I just realized what time it was. Okay. Now, since you said it, so here's a bit.ly for you guys, because bit.ly's make sure you use the right capitalization and stuff like that. Take a screenshot, pause it. You can win tickets to our grant writing workshop. And actually, you know what? And I'm talking to the general audience, but Cindy, tell your son that he has a free ticket to our grant writing workshop off the break. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just
thank
hit
you
me
so
up.
much.
Send me an email or whatever to the link and let him know that I'll work with him. Oh, let me not front. Grace will work with him to make sure that he's registered for it and everything. Because one of the things that we recognize is that a lot of our communities, if you look at the statistics, some of our communities should not exist with the income and poverty. Like that community should not exist. But what I realize is that reason that it does is that there's a lot of the gift economy in it. There's a lot of people's like, yo, I got you. You may not have enough to eat, but I got a little extra this week or whatever. That type of, and these are kind of nonprofit activities and these social programs, but they don't have good writers. They don't know how to keep data, like, you fed 15 people in your neighborhood this week, but you don't keep that data down, write the data down and tell what you gave them. So now when you're looking for funding, it's like, well, what are your results? She's like, I feed people all the time. Well, how much? Well, and then you're trying to remember, but what we do is we try to help people. We help people develop the infrastructure so they can capture and tell the story more appropriately. Because it's not the work that they're doing, because the work is keeping these communities alive. It is all of the other administrative stuff. So absolutely, he's good to go. Got a free
Well,
ticket.
thank you.
To holler at me, because
Thank
people
you
out here
so
doing
much.
good work. Yeah, no, people out here doing good work. We have to support them, because otherwise, fuck are we doing? We ain't no better than them going like, well, no, I'm just waiting for the right time to help somebody. Come on, dude. There's never going to be a right time. Stop playing. You're disrespectful.
Right, absolutely. And then just to get off and let you go real quick, like we look at Safe Streets getting all of this money and being ineffective, and it's like, help me, please. How do you give so much money to an organization and have the crime that we have on the streets? Oh, who's the gatekeeper of this? Like,
if you want to have that conversation, you could come back and I could explain it to you, because I've been looking at that.
Okay.
And spoiler, it is the ineffective administration and the bitch madeness at the mid level, especially in Baltimore City. Real talk, a lot of the problems are not at the department head secretary level. A lot of the problems in Baltimore City are in the mid management level. Those people, like using Freddie Gray as an example, the mayor wasn't there, the comptroller wasn't there, president of city council wasn't there, state's attorney wasn't there. None of these people were there, but there was a sergeant. There was this is where the problem is, and the larger pieces of it is that the people in charge are too afraid of the people below them to say something. Well, because if you say something, they're gonna file a grievance, or then they just gonna show up, or stop being bitch made.
Yes, well, there's no cohesiveness. That's my whole point. None of it is working together.
Okay, that's what you mean, cohesiveness. Okay, I'm with yes. That I thought you meant something else by cohesiveness being together, but it's the fact that in that cohesiveness, we need to break down all the problems in the cohesion.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with it. So you still got the link. So anytime I enjoy this conversation, and the cool part is that I've had a really great crop of you guys to come through. These have all been amazing conversations. Then it might be, my team is probably gonna say that's because you wouldn't shut up, but that's
no, I really enjoyed it.
Y'all know
really appreciated the invite. Thank you so much.
No problem. But also, if you want to come back, click the link. I'd be happy to have you back.
Oh, definitely. I definitely will. Thank you so much.
No problem. You have a good day. You. I need to go ahead and go now, because Donnie gonna be mad, because like, yo, why do you keep going over? I was like, because it's my show. You said it's my show. Like, you can't say it's my show and then get mad at me when I do my show shit. That's disrespectful.
Okay. Well, thank you. You have a good day. Okay.
Nope. Before you go, tell them how they can get in contact with you, because if they want some more, because presumably people are like, oh my gosh, I like what she's talking about. I want to vote for her. I want to support her, and I need to let them know how to do that, because I can't just have you on here and they get all excited, because then I'll absolutely get a show note about that. Like, so you had the lady on there for an hour, you ain't even tell nobody how to follow up with her. That's gonna get me in trouble. Don't be disrespectful. Go ahead and tell them about yourself.
Okay, my email address is camp, C-A-M-P, Cindy, C-I-N-D-Y, R, and I'm at Yahoo. And I'm going to give you my cell. It's 443 649 4721. And I'm definitely say it again.
One more time for him.
Okay, the cell number is 443 649 4721. And the email address is camp, C-A-M-P, Cindy, C-I-N-D-Y, Aura for Rebecca at yahoo.com. Thank you.
Look at Becky. I like the little Becky John. Okay. So I truly appreciate, again, the fact that you're willing to stand in the gap like this for the people in the community. So just that, and also I've had a great conversation, and I'm looking forward to having more. And when you talk to Mary Washington, when you talk to the senator, tell her I said hi.
I definitely will. Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
I took myself out. Look, that's crazy. Yo, we had a wonderful time. Like, we get to meet dope people all the time, don't we? And I'm so glad that you all could join me on this journey. Thank you so much, Cindy Camp. And appreciate the grace and mercy for me getting your office wrong, because some of the office holders, they not cool with that. They not cool with you getting their office wrong. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, again, thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for listening and learning. And happy Memorial Day. We will be black tomorrow.